So you're thinking about moving to Baton Rouge or the Greater Baton Rouge area. You don't know what you don't know, but I'm gonna make sure you know. I'm gonna tell you the top 10 things I think you need to know about if you're moving to Baton Rouge or anywhere in the area right now. So let's go. Hey, Sean Ramos here with eXp Realty, and this is Living in Louisiana, where we talk everything moving to or living in Louisiana. And I am a licensed realtor, so if you're thinking about making that move, or if you're already here and you need help buying or selling real estate, that's what I do. As much as I do love making these videos for you guys, what I really love is to help you with your real estate needs. So that number, that email that's popping up on your screen right now, that's how you can reach me. Don't hesitate to give me a call. That's why I make these videos. Give me a call, shoot me a text, and we can schedule a Zoom call and really dig into it if you need help moving to the area. And real quick before we get started, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos that I put out in the future. Let's just jump right in. Number one is the population in Baton Rouge has been on the decline. Now that's been going on for a little while now. Why is that? And I don't really know. People move for all sorts of reasons. Some people say it's the crime and that it's not a safe place anymore, but I don't live in Baton Rouge, but I'm in Baton Rouge all the time. And I can tell you just personally, I don't ever feel unsafe anywhere that I'm going in Baton Rouge. But I guess that's all a matter of perspective. I know one of the questions that I get a lot from you guys that reach out from this channel is, which areas are safe, which ones are not. And of course, as a real estate agent, I'm limited on what I can say about specific areas and pushing people to or away from certain areas. But there are some good resources out there that I can send you where you can kind of get an idea of what maybe the crime rate is in one area versus another. But I can tell you just from my personal experience, there's plenty of places in Baton Rouge where you're not going to feel unsafe. And while the city of Baton Rouge's population has been declining, the Greater Baton Rouge area as a whole, when you're including all the surrounding parishes, that's been on a slow rise. So for a while now, we've been seeing population growth in the Greater Baton Rouge area of somewhere above 1%, but less than 2%. I think that's just because of the economy that we have here. I know most of you guys that reach out to me from this channel and you're looking to move here, they're moving here for a job because we've got lots of great industries around here with some good paying jobs that people are moving from all over the country to take advantage of. But I know I've helped people from all over, from Florida to Massachusetts to Connecticut to Missouri, Illinois, Texas, California. You guys have called me from all over the country when you need to move here for a new job. So if that's the case for you, pick up the phone. So number two, the traffic may be a hindrance for you. But I don't know that that's not the case in any decent sized city. Now, as a real estate agent, I worked from home for a long time. I got tired of that and I got an office. So while I live in Watson, my office is in Denham Springs now. So I don't have much of a commute. I go from one smaller town to a little bit bigger of a smaller town, but I'm not driving into Baton Rouge and dealing with that daily commute every day. But I have had to do it recently, and sometimes I do have to get out there early. I had some early morning showings out in Ascension Parish, and that took me through Baton Rouge a few days ago, and I was going through on the interstate at about 6:30 in the morning. And if you're looking at a map on I-12 heading into Baton Rouge, I was backed up all the way to about the Jubin Road exit in Denham Springs. And then just today, I had a class in Baton Rouge that I had to go to at the Realtor Association, and the traffic was just about the same at 8:30. So when we jumped on the interstate, it was backed up. So we jetted off to some of the back roads and took a different way. What I can tell you from recent experience is that anywhere between 6:30 and 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock, there's gonna be some congestion on the interstates heading into Baton Rouge in the mornings. And it's gonna be the same leaving Baton Rouge in the evenings. And of course, now that school's back in, jumping off on those back roads may or may not be the better option because you tend to find a lot of issues there with congestion when it's during those school zone hours. Number three, I feel like we have a bit of a bug problem here. I'm stealing this from somebody else, but if bugs bug you, then this may not be the ideal place for you. So right now during these hot summer months, wasps are the biggest problem that I have. Those things are mean. And you're gonna be dealing with a lot of mosquitoes, a lot of ants. At different times of the year, you got horseflies to deal with, and then there's the gnats at times. I've heard a lot of people say that there's this Victoria's Secret perfume that you can wear that will help with the gnats, and I'm not sure what the name of it is, but if you know it, put it down in the comments and let me know. And then you've got your wood destroying insects, the termites and the powder post beetles. So here in South Louisiana, it's definitely a good idea to have your house treated and be in a contract with a licensed company that does that, because once you get that initial treatment, it's guaranteed for so long, and they come out and do annual inspections every year. So it does cost some money to have that done. The initial treatment's a little more expensive, and then the annual inspections are not as expensive, but it's a low price to pay when you consider what termites can do to your house. And then we've got all this wildlife to deal with too. I see tons of possums and raccoons and a lot of squirrels, rabbits, and plenty of deer. The deer are something you really need to be careful of at night. They just love to seem to run across the road right in front of your vehicle when you're on a really dark road and can't see. So it's just something to keep in mind. I know I've hit a few deer in my day. And we've got coyotes and bobcats, but that's not something you see on a regular basis unless you're a hunter and you've got trail cameras out. You tend to see those at night walking around the woods, but it's not something you're gonna see on a regular basis. And snakes are something you definitely want to keep an eye out for. There are, variety of poisonous snakes in the area, and a lot that are not poisonous. And I think when people think of Louisiana, they think of alligators, right? But that's not something you see on a regular basis either. Now, they're out there, they're in the water. So if you go fishing, or if you like to go kayaking or things like that, you're gonna see gators in the water. But it's not something you're gonna see on a daily basis or a weekly basis. I can only think of a few times that I've been somewhere that wasn't in the water, wasn't fishing, that I've actually seen an alligator just out and about. Number 4 is the heat. It is very hot in Louisiana during the summer. I know last summer it was a pretty hot one, and we had like a drought that felt like it went all summer. We barely had any rain, which is not normal. This summer we've had more rain, but it's been even hotter than last summer. I can't think of a day in the recent past that I've opened up the weather app and not seen a heat advisory. But the humidity is what gets you here. You might see 95 degrees on the app showing how hot it is outside, but it may feel like 110 or 115 with the heat index because of the humidity. On days like that, it just feels like the hot air from an oven when you open the door hits you anytime you walk outside. Fact of the matter is, if you're outside, you're gonna sweat and there's just no getting around it. And if there was one thing I could say that may make me move away one day, it's the heat. I've been here most of my life, and I don't know that I ever really get used to it, but once the kids are grown and moved away, I could definitely see maybe moving a little further north where it's not quite so hot so much of the year. Number 5, our insurance is pretty expensive here. And that goes for homeowners insurance and auto insurance. And homeowners insurance hasn't been that much of a problem until more recently. But our auto insurance has always been pretty high. We've got some freaking aggressive drivers around here sometimes. Now, the higher homeowner insurance premiums come from the fact that we do have storms that come through here and cause damage to the houses sometimes. And the roofs on the houses have gotten to be a pretty big issue. So depending on which insurance company you call, anywhere between 10 and 15 years is when they start giving you a little issue with them of not wanting to cover the house, because it doesn't have a new roof on it. Now, the shingles on those roofs may be rated for 30 years. And not that you're gonna get 30 years out of any roof here in Louisiana that's not a metal roof. But you might get 20 and 25 if you're lucky. But what I'm finding is that with a lot of these companies, that once they hit 15 years old, they're not wanting to give you coverage. And I've been hearing a lot of talk about fortified roofs recently. And I don't know all the details yet. It's something I'm looking into myself, but you can Google it, I'm sure, and find all the information. But they say if you have a fortified roof, that your insurance premiums are gonna be less. Another little trick I've always taken advantage of is that the homeowners insurance companies love new construction because everything's brand new. So if you're looking to get those insurance costs down for your house, new construction might be something you want to look into. But even with the higher insurance costs, our overall cost of living, not bad at all in Louisiana. So I've got clients like Ron and Nancy who found me from this channel who were moving to Louisiana from Florida just because the homeowners insurance and the HOAs were getting so expensive over there. This is a cheaper place to retire. So they're building a house in Zachary. That's all in the process happening right now, and I'm really excited for them. Number 6, you're just gonna have to deal with some natural disasters, and there's no getting around that here. But it's really not as bad as you think. So I know everybody thinks of hurricanes when they think of Louisiana or anywhere really on the Gulf Coast. And it's definitely something to keep in mind, but it's not something you deal with on a regular or even semi-regular basis. So the last big hurricane we really dealt with here was Hurricane Ida back in 2021. But since then, we haven't really seen much in the way of hurricanes. But you definitely just want to be mindful of them. They're not that bad. They're going to be here a week before it actually shows up. So if something you feel like you need to evacuate for, you've got tons of time. And if you're not here, this may sound a little silly, but you'll find that most people just hunker down and stay here. They throw big hurricane parties, everybody gets together and just use it for a reason to drink a few beers. And the flooding is another thing that you want to keep in mind. Now, the hurricanes can bring on some of that, but it's not necessarily just from hurricanes. If we get a really heavy rain sometimes, you'll see that there are areas that are more prone to flooding than others. So something you just want to have in mind if you're moving here. You want to pay attention to the flood zone that the house is in. Flood insurance, even what's required, it can range anywhere from about $500 to thousands of dollars a month, depending on how high of a risk they deem that area is. But that's where I come in. I can help you with that. So if you're budget conscious especially, and you want to stay in a flood zone X where the insurance is not required, it definitely makes a difference in your monthly payment. So I can help you sort through those properties and make sure that you're only seeing the ones that you actually want to see. Number 7, the home prices in South Louisiana are increasing, but they're not shooting up. Right now, the average home price in the Greater Baton Rouge area is about $305,000. And that's up about 6% from this time last year when it was about $287,000. But in my experience, South Louisiana has never been an area where you're gonna see big swings up and down in prices. They tend to steadily go up nice and slow. But you know, when the market goes down as a whole in the country, and there are markets where prices are just dropping out, we don't see that as much here. But also when those markets are in an upswing and prices are going crazy, we don't tend to see that super high jump here either. Things seem to be a little more steady here, but they've always increased slowly over time. Now, when I look back at the past 10 years of data, I see that prices have increased on average 5 to 6% a year. And that's probably a little bit inflated because of those COVID years where prices did take a bigger jump than usual. But I think it's safe to say that we probably would see about 3 to 4% increase every year. Number 8, the Greater Baton Rouge area has a lot of diversity when it comes to housing options and price points. You'll see a pretty fair amount of what you'd call cookie cutter neighborhoods. We've got a lot of big builders like D.R. Horton, DSLD, who are building subdivisions all over the area that have, you know, a lot of similar floor plans. But you'll also see a good amount of older neighborhoods, maybe with a little more character, and not to the extent that I've seen in some other states where I have friends that sell houses. But we have been seeing more master plan communities. We're gonna have amenities in the neighborhood like grocery stores, restaurants, shopping, daycares, dog parks, playgrounds, swimming pools, and those type of things. And some of those communities may have more amenities than you'll see in others. But if you take a neighborhood like Americana in Zachary, you know, there are restaurants, there are physicians' offices, they've got a daycare, a dog park, a big fishing lake, there's a playground, a community pool, and there's even a YMCA inside the neighborhood where you've got tennis and pickleball courts, you can work out. And that's one of my favorites if you're looking to live in Zachary. They're still building a lot of new construction in there that I can hook you up with. In Baton Rouge, you've got neighborhoods like Long Farm and Matera and Rouzan. And in those neighborhoods, you may find a grocery store, community pools, schools. And on a smaller scale, even some of those more cookie cutter neighborhoods that D.R. Horton's building, they'll have a community pool and a playground. So even if there aren't any restaurants or shopping in the neighborhood, you're really never that far away from it. And if you're looking for something like townhomes or condos, I see tons of those around the LSU area in Baton Rouge, but even where I'm at, out in Livingston Parish and the smaller towns, starting to see a lot more townhomes pop up. So if you're looking for something more affordable, it might be something you want to look into. And mobile homes are an option. And what I can say about mobile homes is the banks don't seem to like them. You're usually going to have higher interest rate, higher homeowners insurance premiums. Depending on the financing that you're using, there may be strict guidelines. And then there tends to be more maintenance to keep those up. Because I think even the best built mobile home is still not going to be built as well as the stick built homes. And you can definitely get the mobile homes in a lower price point, but is it worth it? It's up to you to decide. And if you're looking to rent, there are tons of apartments out here. I can't really help with anything that's not listed in the MLS. If you call me looking to rent, I'm more than likely just going to send you a website like hotpads.com or something similar to that. But if you are looking for a home to rent that's listed with an agent in MLS, those I can help with. Now, it's not common at all around here, something I saw just for the first time pop up recently, but I know a guy who bought a big building and converted it into like a shared space for rental. So everybody gets their own bedroom, but there are some shared spaces in the house where everybody can hang out. And of course, that makes it super affordable. I've heard of rents being as low as $750 a month to stay at a place like that. And my understanding is that it's doing pretty well, so we may see more of those popping up. Number 9, if politics plays a role in where you want to live, you may want to do a little research and check the maps before you decide on a place. So when I'm looking at a map of the last presidential election in 2020, It gives a really good idea of what you can expect in different areas. You see that the majority of Louisiana is red and conservative leaning, but you've got the more densely populated areas like East Baton Rouge Parish, Orleans Parish, and even Iberville Parish that are blue. So if you lean heavy one way or another and you want to be around more people who think the same way you do, then maybe that's something you want to factor in when you're deciding on a specific city or parish that you want to live in. And side note, maybe because so much of Louisiana falls into that red category, they actually just passed a law this year that made concealed carry legal without a permit. So if you're a big Second Amendment advocate, you're gonna like that. Number 10, the suburbs are growing. So like I said earlier, while the city of Baton Rouge's population has been on the decline, the whole Greater Baton Rouge area is on the rise. So even though people may be moving away from the city, they are flocking to the suburbs. And when I think of you guys that have reached out to me from this channel and I've helped move here, some of you have moved to Baton Rouge, but I think more have probably moved out in the suburbs. And I don't know the numbers. I don't have the stats in front of me that says how many people are moving to all these different areas specifically, but just being in the areas, I can just tell there are more people, there's more traffic, and I'm seeing more and more businesses pop up. But the cities surrounding Baton Rouge, like Zachary, Central, Denham Springs, Walker, Prairieville, Gonzales, all seem to be growing at a pretty good pace. Now, if you want to contribute to that population growth and you're making the move here to Louisiana, again, that's my number at the bottom of your screen. I'd love to help you make the move, even if you're not looking to do something now. It doesn't matter if you're making a move right now or if you're just thinking about doing something a year or further down the line. It's never too early to start the conversation. I'm never going to give you any pressure to do anything, so don't feel like you can't give me a call until you're ready to actually move. I'm here to help you in any way I can, so give me a call, text, or email anytime, and I'm happy to help. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And do me a favor, give this video a like and help me out. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next video.